Hare Krishna. So, welcome to the last session of Discover Yourself. Today's session is revelation of a path in a little deeper way, because yesterday we saw in Substance and Shadow that we have a life based on our conception of identity as a spirit soul, and up to now we have probably lived only in the conception of body. So there is a significant portion of living which may be missed out on account of not being situated in spiritual consciousness. Uh, Spiritual consciousness means I am spirit soul. Spiritual means related to spirit soul. So since our civilization is not structured now in such a way that we give much importance to spirit soul as such in our lives, we probably might have, not probably, I would say 100%, we have missed out on a spiritual perspective, which we called yesterday as substance living, shadow living and substance living. And in that we saw that there is a material conception of life, there is a spiritual conception of life, there is a material identity as body with all the roles associated with the body, and then there is a spiritual conception where the identity is primarily spirit soul, which is transcendental to bodily designations. समझ में आ रहा है ना? So this way, if we see that material happiness is bodily happiness and spiritual happiness is transcendental, absolute happiness. So we try to understand what is material happiness and what is spiritual happiness. Material happiness, the experience of it is already there with the senses, both gross senses and subtle senses. But spiritual happiness is not defined until and unless we know what is spirit soul and uh, what is a happiness beyond merely gross and gross and subtle sense. So we saw that gross senses have their own pleasures and subtle sense have their own pleasures. Probably we didn't discuss about subtle sense, but subtle senses are required for enjoying so-called happiness in material senses. That we defined yesterday, that the conception of anything, any likes and dislikes is in mind. So it is a subtle sense. Until unless mind is there in enjoyment for our senses cannot get enjoyment. We defined it by giving an example that if somebody is dead in house, you won't, that food won't taste same to you, or if your tongue is burnt by hot water or something, that will not taste to us. So both ways, gross ways and subtle ways, the connection is centered around mind. श्रोत्रः चक्षुः स्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयान उपसेवति. 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita says, Vishayan upasevate means how do we enjoy various sense objects? Vishayan means sense objects. How the senses enjoy sense objects? It is a kind of Shrotra means hearing sense. It is a kind of smelling, touching and tasting sense. All these senses, Shrotra, Chakshu, Shrotram, Chakshu, Sparshanam cha, Rasanam, Grhanam cha, Adhisthaya, Manaschayam. They are centered around Mana. Manah cha ayam, this mind. They are centered or connected by mind. Therefore, there is a sense of taste, there is a sense of smell, there is a sense of touching some soft object and getting pleasure. So all this is centered around mind. So every gross enjoyment is also subtle level defined, or subtle level is the foundation on which the senses work. If subtle senses are not there, the body won't work. The example is, if we give anesthesia to body, the taste will not be there. Or sometimes some friend of mine might have said to us, I saw you yesterday in that place. I was waving at you. I went in front of you, but you didn't see me. You were looking, but you didn't respond. So we know that while seeing, we may not be seeing sometimes. We may not notice. Only seeing an object is not seeing. Internally also we have to see. Or some sounds, like that sound or chirping of birds, it becomes so usual that we filter it out by power of our subtle senses. So until unless we have our sense engaged by mind, the sense doesn't work. And at the time of death, as we saw, gross body falls down, subtle body goes away. That's why even if you kick on the face of that dead body, it won't protest. It won't feel, any pain. Whatever you do, it won't feel any pain. Anesthesia also, you won't feel any pain, because the subtle sense of mind is in state of unconscious, senses, unconscious way of consciousness. Our consciousness has various stages. One is Jagrut. Now we are Jagrut, Jag rahe hain. Then we are in dream state, Swapna Avastha. So in Swapna Avastha, the senses become silent, as if the body is dead. And we experience in a subtle sense, but we stop experiencing in a gross sense. But there is something called as deep sleep, Shushupti. Shushupti Avastha has no pain or pleasure. It is deep sleep. You forget everything. So that is that side of mind or consciousness which gets switched off from previous two senses. And anesthesia kind of thing is that thing when we enter into that deep sleep kind of consciousness. Therefore, even our bodily senses, if our body is cut into pieces, we won't know. So, but the thing is that gross injection of anesthesia works, and it can, since mind gets affected by gross medicines, the mind can be taken up to the state of deep sleep, painless sleep, by material means. Painless sleep. Some people have the insomnia. They can't sleep, right? So they are given some medicines and they can sleep. So our mind, these are stages of material consciousness. Since it is material consciousness, it gets affected by material, gross material, although it is subtle, because it is also connected with, the senses are connected with mind by nature. Adhishthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. Adhishthaya means it is at the heart of senses. The mind is at the heart of the senses in a material sense. Heart is a subtle conception, still subtle conception when it is taken in terms of yoga. There is something called as chatushtaya. Chatushtaya, 4 kinds of levels of understanding heart. So that is a different topic altogether. But what I am saying is, this is the material conception of happiness, and material conception of happiness is good for bodily living or living in the cycle of birth and death. But if somebody has to go transcend the bodily life and forever get relief from all kinds of miseries, including 4 kinds of usual miseries that we describe: birth, old age, disease, death, and 3 kinds of the other ones: adhyatmik, adhidaivik, and adhibhautik klesh. So all these are they can be stopped when you lead a spiritual life. So spiritual life, material life, material senses, spiritual identity, material happiness versus spiritual happiness. We also said that material happiness can be felt because it has a start and end, but it has a definitive start and definitive end. So it's not long lasting. Our identity as a spirit soul wants us to have a long lasting happiness. We don't want any state where we are in misery. So to come to that level, we need to attain a spiritual level of consciousness. So attaining a spiritual level of consciousness can give you happiness even within this material world that we saw yesterday. Even while living in this material body, one can become happy. Navadvare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. When that dehi, the living being within this body, when it doesn't do anything material, it does all things spiritual, then within staying within this nine gates jail or body also, one can get happiness. शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुं प्राक् शरीर विमोक्षणा काम क्रोधोद्भवं वेगम स युक्तः स सुखी नरः. Sukhi narah, happy human being. Narah means human. So it implies that human being also can become happy in spiritual consciousness. He can lead a happy life beyond birth, old age, disease and death, even within this body. How? Shaknoti ihaiva yah sodhum. One who can give away that way of living where he is being impelled by kama, krodha, bhavam, vegam. Kam, krodha, adi, ka aveg, lust, greed, anger, all these forces, if one can check and control. And if he is yuktah, sa yuktah means he is living a spiritual life. He is connected. Yukta means buddhi yukta means what? He is adding intelligence to his life. Yoga yukto means what? He is attaching some yoga with somebody. So that yoga with somebody is God. There is no meaning of meditation as such. It can't be on a spiritual platform if it is not connected to spiritual powerhouse, that is God. There is no glowing of these bulbs if they are not connected to powerhouse. Can you say it is electricity yukta until unless it is connected to powerhouse? Isn't it? So it is quite straightforward that spirituality or the power of spiritual light is only possible when it is connected to Supreme Spirit Soul. Soul has to be connected to Supreme Spirit Soul. Then it can become happy even within this life. From this life itself, it starts realizing. And it is like waking up from a dream and coming to reality. So once you wake up from a dream, you may again remember the state of dream, but you are no more in dream. Similarly, a spiritually awakened soul is no more in material consciousness, although he can perform his material bodily activities. That state is woken up, liberated state. And that when somebody attains that liberated state, what are his symptoms that is given? Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyeta tattvavit. Yesterday I forgot this verse. Naiva kinchit karomi iti. न एव किंचित मतलब किंचित मात्र भी, even a little, karomi iti, I am doing. A spiritually conscious person or a liberated person doesn't think that he is doing even anything in this world. Just like in dream, whatever one may be doing, is he doing? If I do some ghastly activity in dream, can I be caught and put into jail? No, because you are not doing it. Getting my point? In your dream, you killed somebody. Will you be prosecuted in your real life? Same way, a person who is in spiritual consciousness doesn't misidentify himself with body and bodily activities. He just is transcendental to them. That doesn't mean he misuses them. He acts responsibly in material body also. Therefore, it is said, Navadvare Pure Dehi Naiva Kuruvanna Karayan. It doesn't do it on the level of getting fruitive reactions of his work. He doesn't get reaction or punishment of what he does, because he is in spiritual consciousness and he is doing for the sake of spiritual cause. Every activity he does for spiritual cause. So that's a trick. That's the yoga karmasu kaushalam. It's like when you initially start learning car driving. Is anybody here who doesn't know driving a car? Okay, you don't have experience. Fine. But maybe I will put up this example. You will understand the sense of it, even though you may not know driving. While you learn driving, there is somebody besides you who is teaching and has control over car body. So when he teaches, actually he operates whenever you do mistake. But then you are supposed to learn it so that you can't do any mistake while you are driving without him. You are learning from him, and one day you will be certified as non-learning person. Permanent license will be given to you when you are driving in a skillful way, sufficiently skillful way. But when you start driving, your whole attention is there on all the equipments in front of you, like your steering wheel. You have a clutch, brake, or hand brake, or accelerator, and then you have mirror. You have a windshield and you can see in front. You have a mirror to see backwards, this mirror, that mirror, and your teacher tells you to put attention at everything, and you are fully absorbed in handling those things. And even if a song is playing in the background, you won't be hearing that song. You'll be fully focused on all these. But when you completely learn it and you are habituated to drive, you no more are conscious about these equipments. You are automatically doing it, and you can hear your favorite song completely and sing along, isn't it? So that way, the spiritual life teaches, the Guru teaches us how to drive this car without being affected, how to get absorbed in spiritual consciousness, connect to spiritual world, even while driving the vehicle of this body. So then you become expert. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. You get that expertise by which you are in this world but not of this world. Jesus Christ said this. In this world but not of this world. You are living in this world, but just like you use car, you are using your body. So such a person, if he uses body according to the laws of yoga, laws of scriptures, then he won't get affected by sinful reactions or pious activities. So he will not get implicated and he will be released from bodily consciousness. He will attain a spiritual absolute platform and he goes back to Godhead where there is no misery. He goes to a world where their relationships are eternal, happiness is eternal, and he has no problem at all. He lives in his original state. That is called spiritual world. So we saw up to this now. Now, attaining spiritual world is indicating a spiritual personality as God, connecting with God by a certain mechanism, and following certain way of life. Yesterday we just introduced Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we said that this is the way of achieving spiritual perfection because it's a dharma. Now today's topic is, if I am speaking this particular Mahamantra, Srila Prabhupada gave this Mahamantra to the whole world. He went preached to Western world also. In Western world, Srila Prabhupada gave this Mahamantra and those people are not aware who is Krishna. Many of them have never heard the word Krishna. They don't know who is Krishna. And why would they accept him as God? They have their own conceptions. So, question is, if God is one, then why so many religions? First session was about implicit faith in God beyond any conception of caste, creed, nationality, and boundaries of geographical importance. Today's conception is getting the details of who is that God. And uh, I want to right away put this as a disclaimer that this particular presentation is not meant for hurting anyone's religious sentiments or their own faith system, or wanting to convert somebody from some faith to some other faith, so-called religious faith, or triggering any violence in the name of preaching, or unjust or uncivilized inhuman treatment for anyone, justifying or condemning, or nothing that of that sort. It should not be misused to file some case or suit against me. You spoke like this or you spoke like that. So it is meant for putting up the views as they are seen in a historical perspective, in a scriptural perspective, spiritual perspective, to achieve peace and happiness for whole humanity, irrespective of their birth, color, caste, creed, religion, nationality, or even a living species. Which what kind of species? Our understanding of uh, Sanatan Dharma is so inclusive that it is meant for attaining peace and happiness and justice for everybody. So these views are put up from that point of view. They are not any undue disrespect to anybody or anybody's faith system. So I make it clear at the start of this presentation. But at the same time, we have to be pragmatic. We cannot be brainwashed by some narrative or propaganda, and we should be able to see it from pure natural justice. So therefore, we are going to discuss about this particular thing. If God is one, then why there are so many religions? As I said, we need a path now, path to achieve the spiritual perfection. But religion number one may say, I am that perfect religion which will give you that path. Religion number two would say, I am that path which will give you the absolute perfection. And they may even say that religion 1 is not correct, religion 2 is correct, religion 2 is not correct, religion 1 is correct. All other religions are bogus, their conceptions of God are bogus, and only my religion is perfect. So many people are, wars are getting fought, people are getting prosecuted, murdered in this so called religious sentimental war. So, uh, Sanatan Dharma is based on the conception of soul, spirit soul. And spirit soul doesn't mean body. And since it doesn't mean body, it doesn't indicate any birth related religious identity. It's meant for everybody who is living in the body. It's as universal as driver of a car. Driver of a car in America, or driver of a car in Europe, or in India, or in China. All are drivers only. They may be using different names, but they are functionally a driver of a car. Similarly, soul is driver of a body, irrespective of that body being born in any caste, creed, religion, nationality. And it goes beyond conception of time, place, circumstance. Any time, this is a truth. Soul is a truth. It is eternal, absolute truth. निरपेक्ष सत्य जिसको बोलते, उसमें कोई अपेक्षा नहीं है, निरपेक्ष. तो this question becomes really difficult to understand. If God is one, then why He made so much of confusion? Or did He make that confusion? Or we made a confusion out of it? So today we are going to ask this question: which way will you choose? So there are questions, ways. Are all paths right? Are all paths right? We have to check it. Because many of so-called Sanatan Dharma followers think and feel that all paths are right. But is it correct? Do all paths lead to same goal? Do we get liberation of birth, old age, disease and death if it is kept as a goal by following any path? Why there are different names, forms, worship, rituals and rites of God? If God is one, why somebody is worshipping this particular form in this particular way and that person is doing it in a different way? Why not one only? Is there a path that synthesizes all these religions? Is there any path which can tell us that this is how the things fit together? A universal synthesis of all religions or conceptions of religions. So, is there any such understanding? Is there any one ultimate goal behind all these religions? All these questions have our own conceptions or misconceptions, but we will try to discuss them together so that we come to the proper conclusion. So, this is a very important understanding. Religions are presented according to the ability of the audience to digest the truth. For spiritually advanced, message given is in unadulterated pure form. For those less evolved morally and spiritually, suitably modified message is given to preclude rejection to help them make limited spiritual progress. मतलब सबको सब कुछ बताया जा सकता है क्या? उतना उनका कैपेबिलिटी है क्या? Here, no. Here the pictures are not used for showing somebody lesser intelligent or higher intelligent, but to give a glimpse that this is the practical problem, isn't it? If somebody cannot understand, how can you give him a higher principle? So whatever principle one can understand, that principle is given in a modified form for that person. But the modification is not in contradiction to the ultimate purpose. Sometimes it may contradict also, but the ultimate purpose is to uplift that person to a stage where he can understand the contradictions and resolve them and go ahead. Getting my point? Different scriptures are meant for different audience. Just like mathematics in elementary school. 2 minus 5, addition, subtraction, how they are taught to such a small aged person. Addition means what? How he will teach? He will teach this is 1, this is 2, 1 and 2. So 1 plus 1 is 2. This is 2. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 3. This is 3. Like that we will tell. And now 3 minus 1 again becomes 2. 2 minus 1 becomes 1. Now this is the way the child has learned mathematics. Now tell the boy 1 minus 2. He will get confused. How 1 minus 2 will happen? There is only 1. How can I minus 2 from this? This is ridiculous. My teacher is wrong. He will say. This is not correct. This is how he is taught. But is the teaching wrong? Is the question wrong? 1, 2 minus 5. But he is saying it is wrong. This is the problem. But will he understand immediately this 2 minus 5 conception? No. So who will understand it? A high school student will answer minus 3. Now the higher principle, the boy has to mature. He has to understand that now I have only one thing, but if I borrow 2 things, then I make it 3 and I indicate borrowing as minus, that in future I have to pay back. Will that small boy understand this kind of logic immediately? No, he won't understand. Gradually, he has to understand. So, is there a contradiction between elementary school mathematics and high school mathematics? No, when it is understood at a higher level. So, a person at higher level is able to understand the contradictions and resolve them. Now, this high school mathematics student won't understand this theta, beta, zeta, gamma, delta, eta. He won't understand this. He may not even understand what is imaginary number. What is imaginary number? Square root of -1. This conception is difficult to explain, and therefore it is imaginary number. There is no such number. Then the boy in high school will ask, there is no such number, imaginary number. Why to imagine unnecessarily? But we know there is an application of imaginary number in higher mathematics. So esoteric, very lofty principles may not be understood by a gross level student, but they are factual. And that gross level student may ridicule the teachers, he may ridicule other classes, he may ridicule higher mathematics, he may indicate that they are not evolved. They don't know that a higher number cannot be subtracted from a lower number. They are fool number one, they are teaching wrong. ऐसा कभी होता है क्या? They may speak and preach like that. Same thing happens in case of religious conflicts and contradictions. A learned man will not misunderstand it. Thou shalt not kill. This is written in Bible. This is first commandment of Bible. What is first Vedanta Sutra? Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now it's time for you to inquire into higher nature of spiritual existence. What is first commandment of Bible? Thou shalt not kill. Why is it same? If all the religions are coming from God, then why number one principle is different for different people? Do we need such a commandment in our Sanatan Dharma as first commandment? Whom this has to be taught? Do you know Jesus Christ was prosecuted? Now the time is changing here, saints are getting prosecuted in India. But if you go back 2-3 generations, people were rooted into Sanatan Dharma, somewhat relatively better. They won't think of offending by words, what to speak of killing by swords. So now this may be required here also. When it is required, it may be told. And saintly people now in their religious, spiritual discourses may tell also. But as a commandment in Bible, it was told to those people because they were at that level of consciousness, at that time, place and circumstance. Do not have sex with mother and sisters. This is in Quran. Have you thought of this? Why to put it in your minds at all? This conception is so grossly heinous activity that it's like pigs and hogs and dogs. It cannot be a human being. Their dogs and pigs have no discrimination. Who is sister, who is what? They don't have this relationship conception. But this was required for some time, some place, or some circumstance. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yator bhakti radhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. This is a translation of that verse. When Srila Prabhupada went to other countries, some reporters asked him, have you come here to convert us into Hindu religion? He told them he has not come to convert anybody. He had just come to remind them of their original spiritual heritage. That religion by which one can one love of God which is unmotivated and uninterpreted is the topmost religion. Srimad Bhagavatam, has it used any word like Hindu or Bharatiya? Sa means that. Sa vai pumsam. Pumsam means human beings. Sa vai pumsam paro dharmo. The topmost dharma. It's not religion. Religion is something else. Dharma is something else. Religion means a man-made set of, you know, rules and regulations or rituals. Dharma means the eternal nature of a person. Eternal nature means the nature of water is to flow. You can't separate fluidity of water from water. When you separate it, no more remains water, it becomes ice if it is frozen. If it becomes a vapor when it is boiled. So vapor is not water as such, it's vapor. Ice is not water as such, it's ice. It changes its nature. So the nature of any being is called dharma. The nature of sugar is sweetness. The nature of chili is being pungent and hot. So you won't call something in a shape of chili as chili if it is not hot and pungent. It will be some other biological form. So similarly for any living being, yator bhaktir adhokshaje, by which he loves uninterrupted and unmotivated service he gives. To whom? Adhokshaje. Adhokshaje means the God who is beyond our senses. We can't see him in these blunt material senses. We need a higher spiritual sense, spiritual eye to see God. So, one who is beyond the conception of bodily understanding, bodily senses, that God, if one can love without any condition and without any motivation, then that is topmost dharma, it is said. Paro dharma. So Srila Prabhupada said, I want to make you love your God and your other souls. And didn't Jesus Christ say this to you? Love your neighbor as your own. Love thy neighbor as your own. Something like that is there. So that's why I don't mean to convert you. He used to ask that person, what is first commandment of Bible? They would say, thou shalt not kill. Then why are you killing? He used to ask. Why are you murdering animals and killing and eating them? Your Jesus Christ has told you not to kill. So they would justify, no, animals have, it is not meant for animals, it is meant for only human beings. So used to say, he would say, thou shalt not murder. He is using the word, thou shalt not kill. So do you use any word other than killing for finishing the life of an animal? You kill animal to eat it. Or do you use any word, I do double quote some word to animals? What is that word? So these kinds of justifications are called man-made religions, out of God-made commandments. So man makes these misinterpretations and misrepresents them. That is where we said that Vedic Shabda Praman means what? As it is, without changing the original context and meaning. How much this is important. Even understanding the first commandment of that particular religion or sect or whatever you call, dharma if you want to call, thou shalt not kill is a dharma, really speaking. It's a eternal principle. Buddha also told this eternal principle. Bhagavad Gita brings out this eternal principle. Ahimsa satyam akrodha tyaga shantiran apaishunam daya bhuteshu aloluptam madhavam hira chaparam teja kshama dhrutir shaucham adroho nati manitaha bhavanti sampadam daivim. Daivi Sampada means divine qualities. Starts with ahimsa. So first commandment is ahimsa, thou shalt not kill. How is it different? But what you are making out of it? So Daya Bhuteshu. Daya Bhuteshu means compassion on all living beings. This is a divine attribute of soul. But are you compassionate to animals? Where you are frying them and discussing with each other how tasty it is. What for? For satisfaction of a 2-inch flesh in your mouth? And what is that 2-inch flesh mouth interaction with that sense object? We yesterday explained. Huh? There is no compassion. You are so grossly uh, gone against the laws of nature and God that you are justifying it by your religious quotes. So that is the point. Scriptures may be giving same message, but according to time, place, circumstance, to an audience which is in a particular consciousness. They won't understand. This small baby won't understand bigger, higher mathematics principles. So, essential principles of all the bona fide religions, I should say, not religions, because I may make my own religion out of somebody's teachings, hodgepodge, mix up. Bona fide religions, all essential principles of all bona fide religions are same. God is one and love of God. Every religion says obey God's laws, service to God. Does any religion say you should do disservice to God? Does it say you should not obey law of God? They may be defining and interpreting, misinterpreting the laws of God, but the principle is obey the laws of God. Return to kingdom of God. All of them say sin no more. Is there anybody who says you should sin? The definition of sin is subject to interpretation and misinterpretation by humanity or by a particular nationality, religion, man-made boundary, man-made definition and interpretations, which are not as it is. Glory of holy names. All religions speak of holy names. There is chanting of names in Islam, there is chanting of names in Christianity, there is chanting of names in any religion, including Sanatan Dharma. Sacrifice and renunciation of material pleasures. They say there has to be a sacrifice. Every religion. Approaching a spiritual master. All of them have conception of a teacher. But you see, any of these principles are accepted in our society, in our education system, in our politics as the principle to be followed. So, so-called secularism conception today is neglecting all of these. They are not finding any commonality in the name of secularism. They are not, secular means real implicit meaning, expected meaning is what? Equal treatment to everybody or rejection to everybody, everything. So secularism today is a modern political play where they want to reject everything related to spirituality or dharma. They want to reject dharma, conception of dharma, or at best they can be partial to somebody and exploiting somebody else for the sake of political benefits. So we should not see it from that perspective. Today, in some WhatsApp group, if you send this kind of violence, murdering is happening in that part of country in the name of religion, your admin, WhatsApp admin will stop you and will say you why you are spreading hate. Is it spreading hate or is it spreading awareness? Why the administrator should stop it? It's the post is making people aware that in the name of so-called religious system, people are murdering others. Why are you seeing it against some religion? It's a fight which is in between humanity. One human race is saying that I am this, the other human race is getting prosecuted because he is not this. So this is not humanity, it is against humanity. So if you forward that post, is it a religious hate crime? Or is it stopping religious hate crime and spreading awareness? You see the narratives. They want to, some so-called religious sect with some understanding or misunderstanding wants to prosecute others because they do not fall into their faith system. This is to be stopped by secularism or to be promoted by secularism and stopped, and not spreading awareness. Somebody utters a word about it, then you stop him from uttering that word. That means what? You are allowing it to happen, and no voice should be raised even if it happens. So this basic intelligence is not there because of so-called secularism. And mostly who is the victim of it? Sanatan Dharma. That one has to understand. Mostly. There may be cases here and there of this kind, that kind, but mostly if you find the history, which is also destroyed many times, the history is destroyed, you see the proof of it in present. The way I gave example, this is destruction of history. If you ask number of people prosecuted on religious grounds by a particular religion, you won't get any official data on it because it is wiping out systematically the history. It is not correct. So it is hiding truth. So this kind of presentation is not meant for supporting such kind of fanatism, extremism against humanity. We are not saying that this sect or that sect. We are saying human, we are saying species, we are saying life, we are saying spirit soul. Everybody is a spirit soul. Why should one spirit soul misidentify bodily with some religion because somebody is born in that family and that so-called conception of religion? And why should you discriminate against a soul which is like you only because he is born in a particular nation or a creed or a caste? They point out sometimes that your own so-called Hindu dharma consists of religious caste-based discrimination, but that is not true. There needs to be a separate class on this particular subject matter. That is not today's subject matter. But as a declaration, I can boldly say with enough scientific evidence, enough spiritual scriptural evidence that there is no discrimination as such based on birth, caste, creed, religion in Sanatan Dharma. There are evidences for this. Again, just like thou shalt not kill is subject to manipulation and misunderstanding and misrepresentation, similarly, some human beings have misrepresented, misunderstood, and forced it on somebody in the name of religion. So why do you selectively indicate a fault in one system and want to justify anything and everything, including a human murder and animal killing? On one side, you are justifying the grossest crimes against humanity. On the other side, there is, something which is very rare happening as an exceptional case, and that too beyond the actual definitions, and portraying it as the whole and soul of that particular system of dharma. So all this has to be seen and understood. That's why today's class is kind of a dialogue or kind of a presentation where you can clearly separate these properly with a uh, sense of vivek, sat asat vivek bolte na, from spiritual, pure spiritual soul perspective. So therefore, although the principles are same, they are man-made religions who are making it into a conflict. Correct? So different religions, same message. There is a pocket dictionary and there is a Chambers dictionary. There is a dictionary available which is consisting of volumes of books in a library. If you ask a big Chambers dictionary, you will have so many books of dictionary. And you may have a pocket reference dictionary. Same word you can find in both. But uh, the meaning of that word is not contradictory in bigger dictionary. But it has a higher way of explanation, deeper way of understanding of the words. Sometimes you want a very, very, very perfect word to indicate what you want to say. There you won't use a routine word which is available in pocket dictionary. Probably you will need a reference to a very detailed dictionary. You can find out a very apt proper word for it. So that way religions are also have details of principles of life. So some religion, like Jesus in Bible, he has said there is much that I have to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. And there in Sanatan Dharma, the Bhagavad Gita says, Jnanam teham sa vijnanam idam vakshami asheshatah yajñatva neha bhuyonyat jnatavyam avashishyate. That is the meaning written there. Jnanam means that knowledge. Te, aham, jnanam teham. Sa vijnanam. With vijnan means with science. Theoretical knowledge and scientific knowledge, or phenomenal knowledge and nominal knowledge, as it is probably written here. Phenomenal and nominal. Phenomenal means the phenomena which is perceivable by pratyaksha and anuman praman. Nominal knowledge means the phenomena which may not be directly perceivable by pratyaksha or anuman praman, but is a self-evident truth which is scientific. Like man is immortal is a scientific nominal truth. Phenomenal, how can you explain? It's a vast truth. So, both phenomenal and nominal, I am telling you, vakshami, I am telling you, asheshatah, kuch bhi shesh rakhe bina, complete. Yajñatva, when you know this in reality perfectly, na iha, not here, in this living, your bodily living, na here, in this world, jnatavyam, to know, avashishyate, remains. There shall remain nothing further to know beyond this. That much complete knowledge I am giving to you in this Bhagavad Gita. So, can you see what is complete and what is given according to time, place, circumstance, and ability of the person in front of you? Different religions, same message. Sometimes there is a contradiction, like meat eating. People say Christianity allows meat eating. People say Islam allows killing animals and eating them. But if you see the principle behind the superficial message, the principle is many times unifying. So if you say uh, yeah, all animals except pig and dog can be eaten after sacrifice, in Islam it is said. I even heard from some Islamic scholars that killing cow is prohibited in some of the Islamic scriptures. I am not a scholar of Islamic scriptures, so I can't say, but I heard it from their scholars. Then I heard that for any animal to be eaten, the animal which is killed has to be divided into some 8 parts or something, and one part has to be kept for your consumption, and rest of the 7 parts have to be given in charity. So why there is exception, why there is giving away in charity, why there is 1 part versus 7 part, why there is exception to some animal? Because there is something wrong with it. As such, I have heard this from a Islam follower myself personally. When I was going from a train to Bangalore, train to Delhi from Bangalore, quite a long years back, I had a discussion with that person because he saw me discussing Bhagavad Gita with my colleague, and he came, "Can I join you?" I said, "Yes, okay, fine, no problem." Whatever I was quoting, he was quoting similar things from his scriptures. Then I asked him this question: His answer was, actually, Islam says that compassion to animals is necessary for all peace followers. Something like that. I may not be again caught, or no, not these words, that words, but the sense of it was, you should not, you should have compassion to every living being. So he said, personally, I don't take, I don't eat, I don't believe this will please our, uh, please the authorities that we follow, real authorities. It will please Allah. He said like this. I don't think so. Therefore, and along with me, there are some people who strictly don't eat. But for this, my own community is against me. So this kind of thing is there. It may not be, it may be given as a, allowing somebody to do a certain activity, a certain time, place, circumstance. Like in our Vedic Sanatan Sanskriti, it is said, one who is highly elevated in spiritual consciousness and wants exclusive, pure, saintly mode of goodness, sattvic lifestyle, he should take bath thrice. But if you give this same instruction in a religion which is evolved in a desert, is it practical there? So, seeing the times, the place, the people, the circumstance, the availability of food items, all these concerns may be there, and that's why some allowances may be given. But can that allowance be taken as a license to kill anywhere where there is availability of options? So, like that, there are details associated with it. It can't be just like there is a permit bar. Does permit bar mean the government wants everybody to become drunkards? There is smoking zone. The smoking zone is meant for not disturbing others and their health. You can't control it. You go to that zone and do whatever wrong you want to do and destroy yourself. So allowing smoking zone is not promoting smoking zone. In fact, it is controlling the problem. Similarly, this Roman Catholics, they don't take meat every day except on Friday. And in Sanatan Dharma, it is Sanatan Dharma. There are some religious parts which are there in Sanatan Dharma, which according to circumstance has given some allowance in some particular way. Like for killing an animal, you are allowed to only kill goat. That too you have to sacrifice, and that too you have to sacrifice in front of some conception of demigod. काली देवी के मंदिर में गांव से बाहर जाके उसको sacrifice करना पड़ेगा. And then that sacrifice, there are mantras that you have to chant. The mantra is Sanskrit word mamsah. Mamsah means meat. The meaning of that mantra is, whatever I am doing for satisfaction of my tongue, I am giving you allowance to do the same with me. Mam saha means whatever, saha means you. Whatever I am doing with you, mam saha means you also do this same thing with me. I allow you to do this. This is that sacrifice. So, and the person has to, one who is the in charge of this particular activity, the head of the family or whatever, he has to personally cut the goat's throat, neck. Personally, he has to do this sacrifice. The priest will do chanting of mantra. He has to see in the eyes, with eye contact with that animal. Why? Then he has to cut in a one stroke. He should not keep on. That animal is crying. He should kill it in one stroke, and should see the scene. Notice the scene in that sacrifice. It's not that McDonald's में जाके कुछ काट के उधर से एक बड़ा अच्छा पैकेज पार्सल बना के आपके घर में वो स्विगी लेके आता है. No, not like that. You should notice what is happening to that animal for the sake of your tongue sacrifice. You should see the bloody scene. You should see the fear in the eyes of that animal. You should see the cry at the time of death. And you should say that whatever I am doing to you, you should do it with me. I give you allowance. This is the procedure. And as such, in the age of Kali, according to scriptures, the sacrifice which involves animals is banned. So they are leaving it out and taking something from here and there. And then the other religions, they point out your own religion is saying that animals can be killed and eaten. But are you going into the details? And do you find that there is something in scriptures written somewhere else about not allowing it in this age of Kali? So half knowledge is always dangerous. This kind of propaganda, Buddha wanted to stop. Therefore, he gave the message of ahimsa, not killing animals. But today you see, the so-called ahimsavadi, so-called followers of Lord Buddha themselves are propounders of killing of animals, and they justify it. Same way, thou shalt not kill is justified by so-called followers. So therefore, the principle is not understood, and people misrepresent and misinterpret the purpose. Sanatan Dharma in the historical timeline is oldest one. It is coming from the dawn of creation. Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manuhu ikshvakave bravi. I told the same science to sun god Vivaswan. Therefore, yogo nashtah parantapa sakale nehamata yogo nashtah parantapa. I told it at the time of creation, but now it appears to be lost. So I am again telling you this same truth that is in the Bhagavad Gita 5000 years back. So Sanatan Dharma means eternally there. It is the message sometimes is lost, so it is again spoken by God by taking incarnation. The Buddhism is 2500 years back. Of course, Buddha was predicted in scriptures that he will come. That we saw in Vedas, the privilege of it. So Buddhism, then Christianity is 2000 years back, and this is 1300 years back, Islam, or 1500. So relatively, you see the oldest is Sanatan Dharma. Somebody may say newest is something which is to be followed because it is according to time, place, circumstance. But then again, it is a misrepresentation because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Krishna himself, came 500 years back and established Sanatan Dharma of chanting of the holy names. And it is said, Harer Nama, Eva Kevalam. Kalau Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva, Nasti Eva Tiranyatha. In the age of Kali, there is no other way than chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Then why we don't take that as the latest one? And our Sanatan scriptures also say, I just missed that point. What is that verse? Yajnaihi sankirtana prayaihi yajantihi sumedasa. Krishna varnam tvisha krishnam sangopangastra parshadam yajnaihi sankirtana prayaihi yajantihi sumedasa. This is in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's part of the predictions for the future. In the age of Kali, there will be Krishna coming once more as an incarnation. But he is Krishna himself, but Tvisha Akrishnam. But his complexion will be Akrishna, means not black. It will be golden, not black. Sangha Upanga Astra Parshadam. He will take along with him Astra. Astra means weapons. He will come with his weapons. And what would be his weapons? Sangopanga Astra Parshadam. Parshadam means the divine spiritual beings will come as his weapons, not a talwar, gun or yesab. What would be his weapons? His saintly associates. And what they will do? They will shoot down everybody, kill everybody who is not following them? No. Yajnaihi sankirtana prayahi. They will teach all humanity this yajna of Sankirtan Yajna of chanting holy names. Yajanti hi sumedasa. Those who are highly intelligent will take part in this yajna. They will become part of this movement. So this is proper scriptural quote from Sanatan Dharma to follow for this age the chanting of the holy names. And don't you see all over the world ISKCON has done this. Who is follower of ISKCON? Srila Prabhupada, who established it. He is the weapon against the so-called systems which are murdering or killing by some weapons. Sanatan Dharma has no weapon. Sanatan Dharma has chanting of the holy names as weapon. What Prahlad Maharaj did when his own father was trying to prosecute his son. You know the story of Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was his father. He was trying to kill Prahlad because he was chanting the holy names. He was praying to God other than Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu wanted himself to be accepted as God. And his own son was not accepting. He was accepting Narayan. So therefore Hiranyakashipu was trying to prosecute with weapons and other means. But Prahlad Maharaj took full shelter of which weapon? Chanting of the holy names. So it is very evident that Sanatan Dharma was the oldest one and is the latest one. And it is the continuing one all the times. Now one more point important is depth of verifiable and inconceivable information in the Vedas. Depth of inconceivable information is far greater than the other scriptures. Like we gave example of Pocket Dictionary and Oxford Chambers Dictionary. The depth of information is different, although they are similar messages. So if you say other religions, they say God said, let there be light, and there was light. This is supported in Srimad Bhagavatam, but the depth of information of how light came into existence is great. Srimad Bhagavatam, on the other hand, gives step-by-step information of how the creation of the universe as well as all living beings taken place. The Sankhya or count philosophy of 24 elements of the universe given in the Vedic scriptures is scientifically explainable and provable. So this is there. Details of the creation are given in step by step. If you go and read, this is it will take a long time, but you have Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read second canto, 5th chapter, verse number 24 to 25. It gives the self-centered materialistic ego, thus being transformed into three features, becomes known as the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance in three divisions. Now yesterday we discussed about mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. Even the light, creation of light has mode of goodness, mode of passion and mode of ignorance. So mode of goodness, passion, ignorance were created first and then the light was created. So light also has these modes. Like if you go to a beer bar, the nightlife, their light has a different form. And when you go to a temple, the light has a different form and effect. So even the modes of material nature, before creation of modes of material nature, the false ego was created. We talked about false ego. You know the subtlety of false ego, how deep it is. False ego is not perceivable. False ego is so deeply rooted in our consciousness. So false ego was first created by God. Then subsequently everything came into existence. From the darkness of false ego, the first of the five elements, namely the sky, is generated. Ether. Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kham. So Bhumi, Aap, Anal, Vayu, Kham. Kham is ether and the light is part of ether. Its subtle form is quality of sound, exactly as the seer is in relationship with the seen. Seer and seen, the relationship is there. You are seer, I am seen. You are hearing, I am being heard. So how am I being heard? Tell me, how am I being heard by you now? Sound vibrations. How sound vibrations are getting transmitted to you? Ether. So before sound comes into existence, Ether has to be there. So depth of information. I am just giving a small example. If you go to the depth of creation, you will be able to realize that the depth is inconceivable and insurmountable. It is very deep. And these Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita are the epitome of teachings of Sanatana Dharma. The details are yet there in other scriptures. Most of them are burnt now, as we said. But this is depth of information that is there in Sanatana Dharma. So like that, there are, don't want to get into so much detail, but I hope you understand what I am saying. Other religions say God is great, God is love, God is almighty, but the Sanatan Dharma says how. There is something called as what? There is something called as just a definition or using a word, and there is a depth of explaining that particular conception. So how God is strong, how He is knowledgeable, how He loves His devotees, all that is told. Now there are different platforms of worship. Just like there is conception of understanding of teachings, there is a conception of approaching for a reason. Why? So there are these. There are scriptures which indicate the surrender to God in the emotion of being fearful of punishment if I go wrong. This is first level of approaching God. So some scriptures, some religions, and some teachings are on this platform of fear. That person, like a child who doesn't listen to a good advice and is very naughty and can be destructive at some times, has to be given some fear because he is at that level. So there are some scriptures, so-called religious systems, where there is a fear-based teachings. But there is also higher level, kartavya, desire, ichha, kama, ichha. So desire is also there. So the desire platform is better than fear platform. Fear platform is negative sense. Desire platform comes to a little positive sense. But when you approach with a desire, then it may not be highest relationship. ये ना दोस्त बन के फिरता है, बट कुछ तो काम निकालना होता है, इसलिए दोस्ती दोस्ती करता है. Like that. Their duty. It is my duty. My friend is in need. I should indeed help. Friend in need is friend indeed बोलते हैं. So real relationship starts at the platform of duty, some substance relationship. So there are some scriptures which are, or religions which are on the platform of desire. Oh God, give me my bread. This is the church prayer. Dhanam dehi, putram dehi, yasho dehi, jashodhi, dishojayi. All these are in Vedic Sanatan Dharma. There are certain allowances to pray to God for getting desires fulfilled. So that is on the platform of desire. On the platform of duty is, it is my duty to please God, because God is giving me sunlight and not asking for payment. He is giving me food, not asking for payment. He is giving so much of natural resources. He has given me my body. He has given me the sense of taste for enjoying the bodily pleasures. He is providing for sense objects. I should be grateful to him. So this is gratitude, and out of that gratitude I want to serve God. ठीक है, जन्माष्टमी आ रहा है ना, एक दिन जो भगवान है, who says that माता धाता पितामह, मैं आपका माता पिता पितामह सब कुछ हूँ, और मैं आपका सुहृद हूँ, आपका मित्र हूँ, मैं आपके हृदय में बैठ के आपको हर रोज गाइड करता हूँ, आप मुझसे ही बुद्धि को प्राप्त करते हैं, मुझसे ही शक्ति को प्राप्त करते हैं, तो चलो मेरा कर्तव्य है मैं जाके भगवान का बर्थडे मनाऊं. So that is duty, and the highest one is love, and that was savai pumsam paro dharmo yator bhaktir adhokshaji. Ahetuki apratihata, non-stop. Apratihata means non-stop, and ahetuki means without any hetu, unmotivated, uninterrupted love. If you are any of your relationships, suppose your husband or your wife, they are dealing with you on the platform of fear, is it a perfect relationship? They are dealing on the platform of desire. It is going to break once desires are not fulfilled. It is going to break when duty is not being done. But love means I don't expect my wife to do anything for me, but I love her. I don't expect my husband to do anything for me, but I love him, which is the highest platform. Sometimes you may say it as a blind platform, unjust platform. But the love, the sense of love is the true, most esoteric or most pleasing relationship. Suppose you get such a lover that he doesn't fear you, he doesn't expect anything from you, he doesn't, want you to even be dutiful to him. If you get such a person in your life, would you not love? He doesn't misunderstand, she doesn't misunderstand me, she doesn't expect anything from me, she just loves me. This is pure platform of a relationship. So for God also, this is ascending path of religion, or a real path of real religion. So a perfect religious system, dharma, perfect dharma definition from Bhagavatam is yator bhaktir adhokshaja, one who takes from any platform to the topmost platform. The platform of fear is better than no relationship. Platform of duties, desires, duties and love are gradually better platform. So the highest platform is uninterrupted, unmotivated love. So Sanatan Dharma is that. Do you need a break?